Welcome back to Mornings. Well, Dr. Penny Adams is familiar to most of us as the Mornings GP, giving very good advice every week on a whole range of issues. But recently the tables turned and Dr. Penny went from being the doctor to the patient. Cheryl Taylor from 9 News takes up the story.
It's a real double-edged sword being a doctor and a patient, because as a doctor, and I have been for over 20 years, I'm used to being the boss and calling the shots and people trusting me, and now I have to put my trust in somebody else, and I'm not used to being in that role.
About 2 years ago, Penny was diagnosed with a prolapsed disc in her neck.
Sometimes that doesn't cause a problem or it doesn't cause a problem that needs surgery if it's just pushing on your nerve. But unfortunately, mine's got to the stage where it's pushing on my spinal cord, and without your spinal cord, can't do too much. The thing I find the worst, sitting or trying to drive or trying to type at a computer, because that's when there's maximum pull and pressure on my spinal cord and on that blob of disc that's pressing on it. So it's things like I might be typing and then my hand doesn't work, which is fairly disconcerting.
Penny attributes the condition to an old car accident and the effects of a recent bout of whooping cough.
Anything can cause a disc prolapse. You can sneeze, you could cough, or you could just be sitting here like this and it could happen.
Hi, Mr. Colin Brander. Just ringing to update you on your CT scan.
Dr. Lali Sekhorn explains the intricacies of the surgery, medically known as a C6-7 spinal decompression and bone graft fusion.
The main aim of the surgery is to take the pressure off the spinal cord. This is commonly done from the front of the neck, and the entire disc is taken out. When the disc is taken out, there's a gap left behind, and typically what happens is we take a piece of bone about the size of half a sugar cube, and that's put into the place of where the original disc was, and then we screw a plate onto the front of it to hold all that in place. The most feared complication is becoming paralysed, and the risk is very low from that. The operation itself is done through an incision in the neck, and there's a small risk of swallowing problems or hoarseness of voice, which are usually temporary.
Yes, you'll come with me all the way, won't you?
Yes.
Penny checked into hospital and underwent a 2-hour operation. A few days later, we paid her a visit to see how she was doing.
It's day 4 and I'm feeling physically well enough to go home. Day 1 you feel great, I'm alive. Day 2 you think all the symptoms have gone, and then day 3 you start to think, oh, I'm sore and I hurt, and what am I going to do when I get home? And I've had a couple of teary-deary days. I'm really looking forward to getting home and being with my husband and my family. I've really missed them being here.
Penny's progressing well, happy she's had no complications.
Okay, it's about 2 weeks since the operation, and I'm finally allowed not to wear this charming necklace, which is good because the dog did chew it once when I had it off briefly. I'm feeling physically well, and I've got still quite a bit of pain where they took the bone graft, but it's the tiredness and the emotional side that has really, really sort of surprised me. You tend to think as a doctor that you're super doctor and super mum and you can do it all and you can race around and everything will work, and I found out that I'm not.
Penny is not the only one happy to be back at home. Her children Tom and Olivia are relieved she's on the mend.
It's great to have Mum home. I missed her a lot when she was away. She's just it's so nice and comforting to have her home and that she's getting better.
Come on! Despite things healing well for Penny, there is one thing that remains a cause of some annoyance.
Come on. One of the silly things I was worried about before the surgery was what sort of scar I'd have on my neck. And really, when you look at this scar, it's pretty good. But my girlfriends thought I might be worried and they bought me this. Kerry Ann, if you're thinking of an early Christmas present, I believe Tiffany's might make one of these in the real McCoy.
And she's still got a sense of humour, and she joins us, Dr. Penny Adams. How are you feeling now?
Well, I'm feeling like I look like a fraud because I've just spent an hour in hair and makeup, and they make you look great, and I was just come from my pyjamas at home. But it's the same things. It's the tiredness and the frustration, and that always being in control, and now having to sit down and not be in control.
Teary days still?
Oh yes, just speak to my poor long-suffering husband. He never knows whether I'm going to be up or down.
Wow. And how long has it been now?
3 weeks.
Do you put that down to the anaesthetic, or why do you think that is?
Well, most people when they've had, surgery are going to be like this, but because I'm a doctor and I thought I wouldn't be, I'm being very impatient and not a good patient at all.
So it's just a physical thing, or is it where the emotional trauma that you've suffered from the worry?
I think so. I think the emotional side has been the thing that really shocked me. I mean, the surgery went beautifully. I had an expert team and I was really well looked after. But I've been amazed, and I was warned, but you don't take anyone else's advice. I thought I'd be superwoman, and I was warned I'd be tired for a couple of months because I'd been sick leading up to it, and I just thought I'd bounce out and bounce back to work, and after I finished here I'll get back into my pyjamas and hop into bed.
Guy. Now, the scar you said you were worried about, and I've got to say, you cannot...
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I've been doing the vitamin E, apricot oil thing, and yeah, it's good, and very good surgeon.
Excellent. You did mention one of the things you were worried about was being paraplegic, quadriplegic.
Look, the incidence of that is so minor.
But it is still...
Yeah, it's less than 1%, but because I know all the complications, they're the things that you dwell on as a doctor before you have the surgery. But I think the rudest shock is getting home, and also, as a typical mother and woman, because I'm home, I see everything. I see all the mess, and I think, why don't they see it? Why won't they tidy up? And yeah, it's hard not to get up and do stuff.
You were being wheeled in to surgery there. What might have been going through your mind? How scared were you?
Well, at that stage I'd had a pre-med, so I wasn't as scared as I was the day before. But all those thoughts, it was quite frightening. Just that feeling, you think that you're infallible, and you realise that you're quite fallible. But also that mixed feeling of guilt, because lots of people have much more serious stuff, and all those mixed emotions.
Now this was a disc in your spine, it was fused, the simple explanation. How many operations like that are done every week?
About 20 in New South Wales would be done like that. Would be done. Most people in their lives will have a disc problem at some stage, but mostly it doesn't get that bad that they have to do anything. And
you mentioned 2 years ago you've been suffering for a couple of years. You had a car accident, so that was the start of it. But you had whooping cough for like 4 months this year, and that constant coughing, was that a problem?
Yes, it was. And I was doing the silly doctor thing and not paying attention to my own health.
Has it changed as a doctor, in 6 months' time when you're just getting back into work, seeing patients that you have to send off to surgery? How is it going to change your attitude and your bedside manner?
Well, I'll give them all the advice that I was given beforehand, probably a little bit more strongly, and I'll probably tell them that I thought I'd be superwoman, and I definitely wasn't. And I think that might prepare them a little bit better.
Well, rest, because we love you dearly. We have missed you, and I'm so glad everything's gone very well. And thanks for making an extreme effort to get out of those jammies this morning and come and see us. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Kerry Ann.
And get better very soon.
Thank you.
You'll be on top of things very shortly. Dr. Kerry Adams joining us. Right now, here's Roz.
It seems that every celebrity magazine is guessing who has and who hasn't had Botox.